Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, and welcome to the Sri Vidya Temple's classes in learning to chant. We are currently working on a review of Sri Rudram. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're having an Atirudra Mahayagyam coming up in July of 2023 at the temple. And this is in honor of the Shatabhishekam of the Pitadipati of the temple, Sri Chaitanyananda or Haranaya. So I will start my Shruti. And we'll start with a Ganapati prayer. And so we'll do it the same way that we've done it in the past sessions, where I will we'll start with Anuvakam number 3. And I will chant each line 3 times. Or it's not really a line, but it's a section of the Anuvakam. And then at the end of the Anuvakam, I will pause. And if you have any questions on a specific line, feel free to ask at that time, and we'll focus in on that line. Okay, so any questions that you have, please just make a note of that. And we'll start now. Om Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye. Namah Sahamanaya Nivyadhina Avyadhini Nam Pataye Namo. Namah Sahamanaya Nivyadhina Avyadhini Nam Pataye Namo. Namah Sahamanaya Nivyadhina Avyadhini Nam Pataye Namo. And here in this line, notice the holding after dirgha in avyadhini nam. Avya, so holding on the iv, avya. Okay, so don't forget the holding there. Going on to the next line. Namah Kakubhaya Nishangine Stenanam Pataye Namo. Namah Kakubhaya Nishangine Stenanam Pataye Namo. Namah Kakubhaya Nishangine Stenanam Pataye Namo. Namo Nishangina Ishudhimate Taskaranam Pataye Namo. Namo Nishangina Ishudhimate Taskaranam Pataye Namo. Namo Nishangina Ishudhimate Taskaranam Pataye Namo. Namo Vanjate Parivanjate Stayonam Pataye Namo. Namo Vanjate Parivanjate Stayonam Pataye Namo. Namo Vanjate Parivanjate Stayonam Pataye Namo. Namo Nicherave Paricharayaranyanam Pataye Namo. Namo Nicherave Paricharayaranyanam Pataye Namo. Namo Nicherave Paricharayaranyanam Pataye excuse me, Pataye Namo. Namasrukavibhyo jighagum sadbhyo mushnatam Pataye Namo. Namasrukavibhyo jighagum sadbhyo mushnatam pataye namo. Namasrukavibhyo jighagum sadbhyo mushnatam pataye namo. So here, for the next lines and also for the next Anuvakam, this is probably one of the most tricky parts in Rudram. In these Anuvakas, you're going to have a lot of holding that comes in succession, and you're also going to have a lot of Mahapranas that come in succession. And so remember that the Mahapranas are some of the most powerful sounds in the Sanskrit language. So we definitely want to make the effort to pronounce them the best that we can and to not miss any of those. And also the holdings get tricky. So it's a little bit like you're going down a river and then you in a raft and you come to a place where there's like a lot of boulders, and you have to be very careful about which path that you take and watching for each boulder in a sense. So all of the holding places and Mahapranas, those are a little bit like boulders that we have to navigate around. So definitely it's good to spend a little more extra time practicing these lines. Later on, after these Anuvakas, starting from about the 5th, it becomes very smooth and very easy, and it flows much more easily. But these next two, it's definitely tricky. So I'll do the Namasrika Vibhyo line one more time, and then we'll go on. Namasruka vibhyo jighagum sadbhyo mushnatam pataye namo. Next line. Namo simadbhyo naktancharadbhyah prakruntanam pataye namo. Namo simadbhyo naktancharadbhyah prakruntanam pataye namo. Namo simadbhyo naktancharadbhyah prakruntanam pataye namo. Nama ushni shine giricharaya kulunchanam pataye namo. Nama ushni shine giricharaya kulunchanam pataye namo. Nama ushni shine giricharaya kulunchanam pataye namo. Nama isho madhyo dhanva vibhyascha vo namo. Nama isho madhyo dhanva vibhyascha vo namo. Nama isho madhyo dhanva vibhyascha vo namo. Nama atanvanebhyah pratidadhanebhyascha vo namo. Nama atanvanebhyah pratidadhanebhyascha vo namo. Nama atanvanebhyah pratidadhanebhyascha vo namo. Nama ayachadbhyo visrujadbhyascha vo namo. Nama ayachadbhyo visrujadbhyascha vo namo. Nama ayachadbhyo visrujadbhyascha vo namo. Namosyadbhyo vidyadbhyascha vo namo. Namosyadbhyo vidyadbhyascha vo namo. Namosyadbhyo vidyadbhyascha vo namo. Nama asinebhyashayanebhyascha vo namo. Nama asinebhyashayanebhyascha vo namo. Nama asinebhyashayanebhyascha vo namo. Namasvapabhyo jakradbhyascha vo namo. Namasvapabhyo jakradbhyascha vo namo. Namasvapabhyo jakradbhyascha vo namo. Namastishthadbhyo dhavadbhyascha vo namo. Namastishthadbhyo dhavadbhyascha vo namo. Namastishthadbhyo dhavadbhyascha vo namo. Namasabhabhyas sabhabhatibhyascha vo namo. Namasabhabhyas sabhabhatibhyascha vo namo. Namasabhabhyas sabhabhatibhyascha vo namo. Namo ashvebhyo shvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Here in this section, notice the gap after namo because it's dirgha followed by another word beginning with a vowel. So it's namo ashvebhyo shva. Again, notice the holding after dirgha coming 2 times. So it's shvebhyo shva. So there's holding on the ib and the ish. So just keep that in mind. I'll do it one more time. Namo ashvebhyo shvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Okay. So here I'll pause and see if anybody has any questions or would like to review any of this particular Anuvakam. Okay, so it looks like everyone is clear. All right, so what I'll do is I will go back to the beginning of the Anuvakam. And I will chant the whole Anuvakam, little bit medium pace. Namasahamanaya nevyadhina avyadhininam pataye namo namah kakubhaya nishangine estenanam pataye namo namo nishangina ishudhimate taskaranam. Pataye namo namo panchate paripanchate stayonam. Pataye namo namo nicherave paricharaya Pataye namo namasruka vibhyo jighagam sadbhyo mushnatam. Pataye namo namo simadbhyo Tanjaradbhyah prakruntanam. Pataye namo nama ushnishine giricharaya kununchanam. Pataye namo nama ishumadbhyo dhanva vibhyascha vo namo. Nama atanvanebhyah pratidadhanebhyascha vo namo. Nama ayachadbhyo visrujadbhyascha vo namo namosyadbhyo vidhyadbhyascha vo namo nama asinebhyascha shayanebhyascha vo namo namas svapadbhyo jakradbhyascha vo namo namas tishtadbhyo dhavadbhyascha vo namo namas Sabhabhyas sabhabhatibhyascha vo namo. Namo ashvebhyo shvapatibhyascha vo namaha. So one thing that happens in Rudram is that the Anuvakams get longer and it's more difficult to chant because it's harder to take a deep enough breath and to have enough breath. So it's one thing to focus on as you are practicing and as you're comfortable with the sounds and the swaras and you feel confident in your accuracy. one thing you can start to work on is extending the length of time before you have to take another breath. And this is something that I still have a lot of challenges with, so you'll hear me breathing a lot, but ideally, you want to wait as long as you can before taking another breath. So that's just something to strive for and challenge yourself with as you practice more. So what I'll do before we go on is just chant this one more time, but at a slightly faster pace, just as practice for the Atirudram. Namah Sahamanaya Nirvyadhina Avyadhininam Pataye Namo Namah Kakubhaya Nishangine Stenanam Pataye Namo Namo Nishangina Ishudhimate Taskaranam Pataye Namo Namo Vanchate Parivanchate Stayunam Pataye Namo Namo Nicherave Paricharayaranyanam Pataye Namo Namasruka Vibhyo Jighagum Sadbhyo Mushnatam Pataye Namo Namo Simadbhyo Naktan Charadbhyah Prakruntanam Pataye Namo Nama Pushnishine Giricharaya Kununchanam Pataye Namo Nama Ishumadbhyo Dhanva Vibhyascha Vo Namo Nama Atanvanebhyah Pratidadhanebhyascha Vo Namo Nama Ayachadbhyo Visrujadbhyascha Vo Namo Namosyadbhyo Vidhyadbhyascha Vo Namo Nama Asinebhyaschayanebhyascha Vo Namo Namasvapadbhyo Jag Kradbhyascha Vo Namo Namastishthadbhyo Dhavadbhyascha Vo Namo Namasabhabhyas Sabhapadibhyascha Vo Namo Namo Ashpebhyo Shvapatibhyascha Vo Namaha. Okay, so now I'll go on to the fourth Anuvakam, chanting each section 3 times in a row. Nama avyadhini ibhyo vividhyanti bhyascha vo namo. Nama avyadhini ibhyo vividhyanti bhyascha vo namo. And here there's a lot of holding after dirgha, avya, avya, and then ibhyo, ibhyo, and then again ibhyas, ibhyas. I'll do it one more time. Nama avyadhini ibhyo vividhyanti bhyascha vo namo. Nama ugarnabhyastragam hatebhyascha vo namo. Nama ugarnabhyastragam hatebhyascha vo namo. Nama ugarnabhyastragam hatebhyascha vo namo. Namo grutsebhyo grutsapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo grutsebhyo grutsapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo grutsebhyo grutsapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo vratebhyo vratapatebhyascha vo namo. Here again, notice the holding on iv after dirgha. Namo vra, and again bhyo vra, bhyo vra. I'll do it a couple more times. Namo vratebhyo vratapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo vratebhyo vratapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo Ganebhyo Ganapatebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Ganebhyo Ganapatebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Ganebhyo Ganapatebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Virupebhyo Vishvarupebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Virupebhyo Vishvarupebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Virupebhyo Vishvarupebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Mahadbhyah Kshullakebhyascha Vo Namo. And here in this section, notice the speciality. After Mahadbhyah, there's a comma in the text that I've prepared. And that's because a visarga is followed by the ksha conjunct sound. So ksha, two consonants or two sounds are coming in one syllable. And we refer to that as a conjunct, or in Sanskrit, sanyukta akshara. Sanyukta means conjoined together. So whenever we have the situation where visarga is followed by ksha, the visarga gets pronounced fully. Instead of the half form or ardha visarga, we have regular visarga, aha. So that's why we have mahadbhyaha kshulla, mahadbhyaha kshulla. So let me do this line 2 more times. Namo mahadbhyaha kshullakebhyascha vo namo. Namo mahadbhyaha kshullakebhyascha vo namo. Namo rathebhyo rathebhyascha vo namo. Namo rathebhyo rathebhyascha vo namo. In this line, notice that there's two similar things coming next to each other. It's actually rathebhyo and then arathebhyascha. So in the first one, it's ratheb, ratheb. But in the second sound, it comes as ratheb, ratheb. So notice that difference and make sure that you're distinguishing between the two. I'll do that one more time. Namo rathebhyo rathebhyascha vo namo. And then again in the next line, we have rathebhyo with a dirgha swarita. Namo rathebhyo rathapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo rathebhyo rathapatebhyascha vo namo. Namo rathebhyo rathapatebhyascha vo namo. Namasena abhyasena nibhyascha vo namo. Namasena abhyasena nibhyascha vo namo. Namasena abhyasena nibhyascha vo namo. Namaha kshatrubhyas sangrahitrubhyascha vo namo. So in this section, we have the same thing happening with visarga followed by ksha. So that's why it's pronounced as namaha kshatrubhyas. So this line I find to be very tricky. So I'm just going to break some of the sounds down a little bit more, just to make sure that it's totally clear. So we have namaha and then kshatrubhyas, kshatrubhyas, namaha kshatrubhyas. Then we have sangrahitrubhyascha, sangrahitrubhyascha, sangrahitrubhyascha. So now I'll do this line again 3 more times. Namaha kshatrubhyas sangrahitrubhyascha vo namo. Namaha kshatrabhyas sangrahitrbhyascha vo namo. Namaha kshatrabhyas sangrahitrbhyascha vo namo. Namastakshabhyo rathakarebhyascha vo namo. Namastakshabhyo rathakarebhyascha vo namo. Namastakshabhyo rathakarebhyascha vo namo. Namah kulalebhyah karmarebhyascha vo namo. Namah kulalebhyah karmarebhyascha vo namo. Namah kulalebhyah karmarebhyascha vo namo. Namah punjashtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo. And notice in this section, we have visarga followed by a pa sound. So in this case, visarga gets pronounced like an if sound, like the English F sound. Namah punjash, namah punjash. I'll do that line 2 more times. Namah punjashtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo. Namah punjashtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo. Nama ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo. Nama ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo. Nama ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo. Namo mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha vo namo. Namo mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha vo namo. Namo mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha vo namo. Namashvabhyasvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Namashvabhyasvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Namashvabhyasvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Okay, so that's the end of the 4th Anuvakam. So I'll pause here and see if anyone has any questions or any lines that they want to focus on some more. So if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, so can you do these 2 lines together, like the after kulalebhya karma rebhyascha vo namo namah punjish? So it's like a continuation to until mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha.
Sure. So starting from Namah Kulalebhya.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Namah Kulalebhya karmarebhyascha vo namo namah punjashtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo nama ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo namo mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha vo namo. And one more time. Namah kulalebhyah karmarebhyascha vo namo namah punjashtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo nama ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo namo mrigayubhyasvanibhyascha vo namo. Okay, all clear?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, these lines are very, very tricky, and the image in my mind is always like this river with like the white water and the boulders everywhere, and you like just have to focus so hard to go around them and not like land your raft right on the rocks. So it takes more practice. And so another thing you can do, so obviously we're doing this practice session here. Another thing that I like to do is find a recording of Chalakere Brothers on YouTube. And if you go into the settings of the video, like the gear icon, you can actually slow down the speed of the chanting. So you can reduce it by half or reduce it by 25%. So that way you can focus on the sounds going as slowly as you want and just repeat that and chant along with it. And that'll hopefully make it a little bit easier. But there's no way around these lines, these anuvakas. I find the most tricky in the entire Rudram, because the next, like starting from 5, it gets, very smooth and, fairly relatively easier. The first and then the 10th and the 11th are longer, but the lines are shorter. So you get a little bit of a mental break. These anuvakas, the sounds are very challenging and it's one long anuvakam. So it never stops. You just keep going and going. And it's very tricky with the combinations of holding and also mahapranas. So definitely like these two anuvakas deserve, really probably the most practice out of all of Rudram, I would say. Okay, so any other questions on anything else from the 4th Anuvakam? Okay, so it seems like everyone is okay. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the beginning of the 4th Anuvakam and I'll do a moderate chanting at a moderate pace. Nama avyadhinibhyo vividhyantibhyascha vo namo nama ugarnabhyastrugam hatibhyascha vo namo namo gritsebhyo gritsapatibhyascha vo namo namo Vratebhyo vratapatebhyascha vo namo namo Garnebhyo garnapatebhyascha vo namo namo Virupebhyo vishvarupebhyascha vo namo namo Mahadbhyah kshullakebhyascha vo namo namo Rathebhyascha vo namo namo Rathebhyo rathapatebhyascha vo namo namas Senabhyasenanibhyascha vo namo namah kshatrubhyas sangrahitrubhyascha vo namo namas Takshabhyo rathakarebhyascha vo namo namah Kulalebhyak karmarebhyascha vo namo namah Punjishtebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo namah Ishukrudbhyo dhanvakrudbhyascha vo namo namo Mrugayubhyashvanibhyascha vo namo namah Shvabhyashvapatebhyascha vo namaha. Okay, now I'll do the same Anuvakam a little bit faster. Nama avyadhinibhyo vividhyantibhyascha vo namo nama ugarnabhyastrugam hatibhyascha vo namo namo gritsebhyo gritsapatebhyascha vo namo namo Vratebhyo vratapatebhyascha vo namo namo Garnebhyo garnapatebhyascha vo namo namo Virupebhyo vishvarupebhyascha vo namo namo Mahadbhyah kshullakebhyascha vo namo namo Rathebhyo rathebhyascha vo namo Namo Rathebhyo rathapatebhyascha vo namo namas सेनाभ्यः वो नमो नमः क्षत्रुभ्यः सङ्ग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षभ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मरेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयुभ्यश्वनेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः श्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः. Okay, so that's the fourth Anuvakam. It's only 8:10, so I think I'm going to just go ahead and go on to the fifth Anuvakam. And you'll see that it gets a lot more like smooth sailing from here. So I'll go again with the 3 times per section. Namo bhavaya cha rudraya cha. Namo bhavaya cha rudraya cha. Namo bhavaya cha rudraya cha. And my only caveat for this Anuvakam or any of the next Anuvakas is that because it's so much smoother, and because this chanamo or chanama is repeating so many times, it's very easy to just speed through it and sort of ignore what the swaras are on the chas and the namos. So here's where you want to avoid the temptation to just speed through it and really focus on what the swaras actually are for each cha or namaha or namo. So going on. Namah Sharvaya cha Pashupataye cha. Namah Sharvaya cha Pashupataye cha. Namah Sharvaya cha Pashupataye cha. Namo Nilagrivaaya cha Shitikanthaya cha. Namo Nilagrivaaya cha Shitikanthaya cha. Namo Nilagrivaaya cha Shitikanthaya cha. Namah Kapartine cha Vyuktakeshaya cha. And in this line, notice the holding on iv. Chavyukta. Chavyukta. So don't miss that holding. Also, it's a little bit tricky because the cha is on the lower swara and it goes immediately to an upper swara, the very next syllable. So that's a little bit tricky to get, but it sounds like chavyukta, chavyukta, chavyukta. So I'll do the whole line 2 more times. Namah kapartine chavyukta keshaya cha. Namah kapartine chavyukta keshaya cha. Namah sahasrakshaya cha shatadhanvane cha. Namah sahasrakshaya cha shatadhanvane cha. Namah sahasrakshaya cha shatadhanvane cha. Namo girishaya cha shipivishtaya cha. Namo girishaya cha shipivishtaya cha. Namo girishaya cha shipivishtaya cha. Namo midhushtamaya cheshumate cha. Namo midhushtamaya cheshumate cha. Namo midhushtamaya cheshumate cha. Namo hrasvaya cha vamanaya cha. Namo hrasvaya cha vamanaya cha. Namo hrasvaya cha vamanaya cha. And here the tricky one is the holding on the the H in Hrasvaya. So it's always hard to pronounce words that have ha in a conjunct akshara. So here it's Hrasvaya. So it's Namo Hrasvaya. Namo Hrasvaya. So that's definitely more difficult. Also, most people tend to take a breath here. So you don't notice the holding as much, but technically there is holding there. So moving on. Namo Brihate cha Varshiyase cha. Namo Brihate cha Varshiyase cha. And here you'll notice in Varshiyase, we have Swara Bhakti because the Ra or Repa is combined with Sha, a sibilant or an S sound. So instead of saying Varshi, we say Varshi, Varshi. So that's referred to as Swara Bhakti. It's a subtle point. When we're going faster, you probably won't hear it as clearly, but in slower chanting, definitely you'll hear this Swara Bhakti clearly. So I'll do that one more time. Namo Brihate cha Varshiyase cha. Namo Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha. Namo Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha. Namo Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha. Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha. Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha. Here, notice the gap after the Namo, and then notice the holding in Chap Prathamaya. Chap Prathamaya. I'll do it one more time. Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha. Nama Ashave cha Jiraya cha. Nama Ashave cha Jiraya cha. Nama Ashave cha Jiraya cha. Nama Shigriyaya cha Shibhyaya cha. Nama Shigriyaya cha Shibhyaya cha. Nama Shigriyaya cha Shibhyaya cha. Nama Urmyaya cha Vaspanyaya cha. Nama Urmyaya cha Vaspanyaya cha. Nama Urmyaya cha Vaspanyaya cha. Nama Srotasyaya cha Dvipyaya cha. Nama Srotasyaya cha Dvipyaya cha. Nama Srotasyaya cha Dvipyaya cha. Sorry, I think I was pronouncing the cha swara incorrectly. I'll do it one more time. Nama Srotasyaya cha Dvipyaya cha. So that final cha is ending on a middle swara. Okay, so it just shows how easy it is to get caught up in the rhythm and to start sort of going off on the swaras. Okay, so I'll pause here. And if anyone has any questions on anything in the fifth Anuvakam, just unmute yourself and ask. So I think this one is quite clear. So I'll go back to the beginning and I'll chant it at a moderate pace. Namo Bhavaya cha Rudraya cha Namah Sharvaya cha Pashupataye cha Namo Nilakrivaya cha Shitikanthaya cha Namah Kapardine cha Vyuktakeshaya cha Namah Sahasrakshaya cha Shatadhanvane cha Namo गिरिशाय च शिपिविष्टाय च नमोमि धुष्टमाय चेषुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षीयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च संवृध्वने च नमो अक्रियाय च प्रथमाय च नम आशवे चाचिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीभ्याय च नम ऊर्म्याय च वन्याय च नमः स्रोतस्याय च द्वीप्याय च. And one more time, a little bit faster. Namo bhavaya cha rudraya cha namah sharvaya cha pashupataye cha namo nilakrivaya cha shritikantaya cha namah kapartine cha vyuktakeshaya cha namah सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिशाय च शिपिविष्टाय च नमो मीढुष्टमाय च शुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षीयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च संवृध्वने च नमो अक्रियाय च प्रथमाय च नम आशवे चाचिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीभ्याय च नम ऊर्म्याय च वस्वन्याय च नमः स्रोतस्याय च द्वीप्याय च. Okay. So I think we might as well go ahead and do the next Anuvakam, and then we can stop after that, since it's only 8:20. So I'll do each section 3 times. Namo Jesthaya cha Kanisthaya cha. Namo Jesthaya cha Kanisthaya cha. Here, notice the holding on ij. So holding after dirgha. Namo Jesthaya cha Kanisthaya cha. Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha. Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha. Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha. Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha. Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha. Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha. Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha. Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha. Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha. Namasobhyaya cha Pratisaryaya cha. Namasobhyaya cha Pratisaryaya cha. Here, don't miss the holding in chap prati. Chap prati. Chap pratisaryaya. Chap pratisaryaya. I'll do that line one more time. Namasobhyaya cha pratisaryaya cha. Moving on. Namo yamyaya chakshemyaya cha. Namo yamyaya chakshemyaya cha. Namo yamyaya chakshemyaya cha. Nama urvaryaya cha khalyaya cha. Nama urvaryaya cha khalyaya cha. Nama urvaryaya cha khalyaya cha.
Namah Shlokyaya cha Vasanyaya cha. Namah Shlokyaya cha Vasanyaya cha. Namah Shlokyaya cha Vasanyaya cha. Namo Vanyaya cha Kakshaya cha. Namo Vanyaya cha Kakshaya cha. Namo Vanyaya cha Kakshaya cha. Namah Shravaya cha Pratishravaya cha. Namah Shravaya cha Pratishravaya cha. Here again, notice the holding on chap, chap pratishra, chap pratishra. I'll do it one more time. Namah Shravaya cha Pratishravaya cha. Nama Ashushenaya cha Shurathaya cha. Nama Ashushenaya cha Shurathaya cha. Nama Ashushenaya cha Shurathaya cha. Nama Shuraya cha Vabhindate cha. Nama Shuraya cha Vabhindate cha. Namah Shuraya cha Vabhindate cha. Namo Varmine cha Varuthene cha. Namo Varmine cha Varuthene cha. Namo Varmine cha Varuthene cha. Namo Bilmine cha Kavachine cha. Namo Bilmine cha Kavachine cha. Namo Bilmine cha Kavachine cha. Namah Shrutaya cha Shrutasenaya cha. Namah Shrutaya cha Shrutasenaya cha. Here, notice the holding on Chashruta. Chashruta. So depending on the document that you're using or the script that you're looking at, in case it's Tamil, sometimes it's hard to tell when the ru is a ru vowel or when it's actually the ra plus u vowel. So in this case, it's the latter, which means that shru is a conjunct. That means that there's holding on the ish. So that's why it's Chashruta. Okay, I'll do it one more time. Namah Shrutaya Chashruta Senaya cha. Okay, so any questions on the sixth Anuvakam? Okay, so this one is also pretty smooth. So I'll just go back to the beginning of the sixth one and chant it at a moderate pace. Namo Jeshtaya cha Kanishtaya cha Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha Namah Sobhyaya cha Pratisaryaya cha Namo Yamyaya cha Kshemyaya cha Nama Urvaryaya cha Khalyaya cha Nama Shlokyaya cha Vasanyaya cha Namo Vanyaya cha Kakshaya cha Nama Shravaya cha Pratishravaya cha Nama Ashushe Naya cha Shurathaya cha Nama Shuraya cha Vabhindate cha Namo Varmine cha Varuthine cha Namo Bilmine cha Kavachine cha Namah Shrutaya cha Shrutasenaya cha. Now I'll do it one more time a little bit faster. Namo Jyeshtaya cha Kanishtaya cha Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha Namas Sobhyaya cha Pratisaryaya cha Namo Yamyaya Chakshim Yaya cha nama urvaryaya cha khalyaya cha namah shlokyaya cha vasanyaya cha namo vanyaya cha kakshaya cha namah shravaya cha pratishravaya cha namah ashushenaya cha shurataya cha namah shuraya cha vabhindate cha namo varmine Chavarudhine chanamo bilmine chakavachine chanamashhrutaya chashruta senaya cha. So one more caveat on these sections is that in many cases you'll see that the this particular form, the yaya cha, many cases the ya will be the upper swara, but not always. So sometimes it's very easy to get into a sort of sing-song pattern where you're just repeating ya, but it's not always like that. So you want to make sure again that you're being very careful with the swaras and paying attention to whether it truly is up or not. So that's just one other caveat for this. So it's only 8:30. So I think what I'll do is go back to the beginning of where we started today and just chant the starting from the 4th Anuvakam through to the end of what we finished. Nama avyadhini bhyo vividhyanti bhyascha vo namo nama ugarna bhyastrugam hati bhyascha vo namo grutse bhyo grutsapatib Bhyascha vo namo vrate bhyo vratapatib Bhyascha vo namo gane bhyo ganapatib Bhyascha vo namo virupe bhyo vishvarupe Bhyascha vo namo mahadbhyah kshullake Bhyascha vo namo Rathebhyo rathebhyascha vo namo rathe ebhyo ratapatebhyascha vo namo namasena abhyasenanebhyascha vo namo namaha kshatrabhyas sangrahitrbhyascha vo namo namas takshabhyo ratakarebhyascha vo namo namah Kulalebhyah karmarebhyascha vo namo namah Punjishte-ebhyo nishadebhyascha vo namo nama Ishukridbhyo dhanvakridbhyascha vo namo mrugayabhyashvanebhyascha vo namo namah Shvabhyashvapatibhyascha vo namaha Namo bhavaya cha rudraya cha namah sharvaya cha pashupataye cha namo nilagrivaya cha shitikanthaya cha namah kapartine cha vyuktakeshaya cha namas sahasrakshaya cha shatadhanvane cha namo girishaya cha shipivishtaya cha namo midhushtamaya cheshumate cha namo Om Hrasvaya cha vamanaya cha namo brahate cha varshiyase cha namo vruddhaya cha samvruddhvane cha namo agriyaya cha prathamaya cha nama ashave cha jiraya cha namash shigriyaya cha shibhyaya cha nama urmyaya cha vasvan Yaya cha namasrotasyaya cha tvipyaya cha Namo Jyeshtaya cha Kanishtaya cha Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalbhaya cha Namo Jaghanyaya cha Buddhniyaya cha Namah Sobhyaya cha Pratisaryaaya cha namo yamyaaya cha kshemyaaya cha namah Purvaryaya cha khalyaya cha namah shlokyaya cha vasanyaya cha namo Vanyaya cha kakshaya cha namah shravaya cha pratishravaya cha namah Ashushenaya cha shurathaya cha namah shuraya cha vabhindate cha namo varmine cha varutine cha namo Bilbine cha kavachine cha namah shrutaya cha shrutasenaya cha. Okay, so I realized that I forgot to review the first one that we did, which was actually the third Anuvakam. So I'll just go back to the third one, starting from Namasahamanaya, and I'll just chant that one. Namasahamanaya nivyadhina avyadhininam pataye namo namah kakubhaya nishangine Estenanam pataye namo namo nishangina ishudhimate taskaranam pataye namo namo vanchate parivanchate stayunam pataye namo namo nicherave paricharaya pataye namo namasrukavibhyo jighagum sadbhyo mushnatam pataye namo namo simadbhyo naktancharadbhyah prakruntanam pataye namo nama ushnishine giricharaya kulunchanam pataye namo nama ishumadbhyo dhanvavibhyascha vo namo nama atanvanib Bhyah pratidadhanebhyascha vo namo nama ayachadbhyo visrujadbhyascha vo namo namosyadbhyo vidyadbhyascha vo namo nama asinebhyashayanebhyascha vo namo namasvapadbhyo jagradbhyascha vo namo namasteshtadbhyo dhavat Bhyascha vo namo namah sabhabhyas sabapatibhyascha vo namo namo ashvebhyo shvapatibhyascha vo namaha. Okay, so I think we'll end there. Any final questions? Okay. I think everything is good. So if anyone has any requests for reviewing in a different way, or if there's anything else they'd like to request, just think about that and feel free to suggest that to me, or you can post something in the learning group. All right, so we'll stop there and we'll stop for tonight.